Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday meditation gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. This week, we have Nick Arandes, who will lead us in meditation, and then we have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we'll open it up for sharing, and we end at 10:45. Over to you, Nick.
Okay. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to start with a line from A Course in Miracles, chapter 28, first section. That'll be the second paragraph and begins on number 7, the sentence. And it says, memory, like perception, is a skill made up by you to take the place of what God gave in your creation. Okay, so before the meditation, remember that that sentence is not being addressed to the individual, not to me. I'm not here. This is all a projection. It's addressed to the mind that is dreaming this dream. Okay, so memory, just like perception, is something that the mind created, projected, so to speak, to become or to distract itself from itself. It's like when you're dreaming a dream, the dream itself, although it's not real, may seem real to you. And that dream is only a memory, it's a thought, is what the mind projects in order to substitute the fact that it is the mind itself. That's all there is. That's what God is. That's what truth is. So in this meditation, we're going to do exactly the same thing. And the way we're going to address so is by right now, you are the wholness. You are everything that all there is, right? And the only thing that does not allow for that to be recognized is every thought, every interpretation, every meaning that is projected onto whatever seems to appear within all that there is. So we're going to begin our meditation, the guided meditation. And we're going to remember always that we're just simply getting out of the way. That's all we're doing. We're not doing anything with the mind. We just simply want to get out of the way by looking at the obstacles, which is what the Course in Miracles states all the time. We're here to look at the obstacles, to remove the obstacles, and then what is left is what it's always been, and what it always will be, which is that which words cannot describe, nor can, it's just what it is. So we can close our eyes now, take a deep breath, release, and we begin the meditation. Right now, right this moment, is all there is. And there's nothing else. It's everything. It's space. Is infinite, omnipresent, omniscient. It simply is. We could say that that is the space also called as creation, which is non-conceptual. It cannot be trapped with the mind. Within all that there is, which is what I am, what you are, what is, thoughts appear. They're just like passing clouds in an open sky, and you are the sky. Thoughts are never a problem because thoughts are neutral, means nothing. What gives weight to the thought, or any thought, is the meaning that is projected onto it. Whatever I think a thought means is what adds weight to it. That's what makes it real. It's not real, but it seems that way. So the meditation is simply an invitation to look, not to judge, not to analyze, not to understand, not to describe, simply be. That would be the equivalent of looking with the Holy Spirit. If I just give a meaning, if I project a meaning onto a thought, I am no longer looking, I am judging. And that would be the equivalent of quote unquote looking with the ego. So right now, we are resting in God's creation, which is what we are. A thought comes by, it's just what it is. As A Course in Miracles reminds us, nothing means anything. That's how we rest in the peace that we are, not sometimes, but always, because we are. We are not this or that. We're not a person. We're not our names. We're not our thoughts. We're not our feelings. We simply are. And that's what the invitation is, to rest in that which is what we are. A feeling comes up, a sensation is just that. Only when the mind identifies with a thought, with the thought, I am a body, a feeling can become a threat or seeming that way. But when we simply open ourselves to simply be, a feeling is just that. Means absolutely nothing. And that's how perception or memory cannot be interposed, cannot be overshadowed the space that we are, that I am. And this is the invitation. That's why A Course in Miracles states that forgiveness does absolutely nothing. It merely observes, doesn't judge. That's why A Course in Miracles states that the truth is simple. The identification with any thought, with any meaning we give to any thought, is what makes it apparently complicated. So we're now resting in a state of permanent meditation. It would be another way of saying in a state of permanent forgiveness. When this is understood, although the word understood would not be exactly the best descriptive one because it implies a mind. Language is a limitation. As A Course in Miracles says, words are symbols of symbols and therefore are removed from truth. But as we rest in what is, that is the state of meditation in which the world can be perceived but have no effect on our peace. The human experience implies thoughts, feelings, sensations, but who you are, who I am, what we are, what it is the space in which thoughts, feelings, sensations seem to appear. simply resting, completely surrendered, is how the mind is placed in the hands of the Holy Spirit. And there's nothing to do. Simply trust. However, whenever a thought manifests and I find myself reacting, the ego thought system, which has given reality to that thought, wants to push it away, wants to change it for a better thought, a different thought. But that's an exchange of illusions. It's like a dog biting its tail. It's much simpler than that. When a thought appears and I find myself reacting to it, it's simply because I projected a meaning onto it. Meaning I started judging. Looking with the Holy Spirit is not asking the Holy Spirit to take the thought away. Looking with the Holy Spirit is being able to look at it without projecting meaning onto it, because that's how the Holy Spirit looks at this dream. The dream is not the problem. The belief in it
Open your eyes slowly and come back into the room. We have 20 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand or use the reactions button at the bottom of the screen, and I'll invite you to take yourself off of mute. If you'd like to ask Nick a question or a comment with confidentiality, put your message in the chat function at the bottom of the screen, and I'll read it out. Who'd like to share? Teresa.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. That was amazing. I always learn. It's my body and my thoughts and my dreams all feel very solid, very real. And I've learned over the time listening to you to try to detach from it. And I think going into the meditation and with you explaining all the things, I always find that very helpful. So to some extent, I am learning to rise above my thinking mind, or at least to observe it. That's something. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Who'd like to share? Anthony, take yourself, please share.
Thank you very much for that meditation. I think for the first time I began to, during the meditation, understand what the Course means by finding the holy instant. It's that place where you feel totally at one with totally everything. And that's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Who would like to share? Oh, Glynis, please share.
Glynis, you're still on mute. That's
Am I
it.
on mute? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right. So this is the first time I've been to this meditation group. So I have been studying Course in Miracles with a friend for a few years now, and I'd just like to say that I have found it very helpful because at the end of gradually towards the end of the meditation, my mind started to quieten down, but otherwise I tend to be all over the place, particularly I think at this time of the year with Christmas coming up and lots of things to have to think about. It just seems to start racing. So I did find the introduction into the meditation. Is it Nick?
Yeah.
I found it very helpful. So I'd just like to say thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Linda, take yourself off mute.
Nick, for that, because you have you used the word trust at one point. That's one of my biggest words that I've been given recently, and it comes up in different ways. It comes to me, but this morning. My meditation, my lesson is into his presence would I enter now. When I was 2.5, I've said this before to people, my brother was born and I was taken for a walk up to some allotments in a lane. And whilst I was going up there, I came out of the body. I was only 2.5, came out and I was one with everything.
Yeah.
Now, if I could just read this is my lesson for today.
Sure.
Into Christ's presence will we enter now, serenely unaware of everything except his shining face and perfect love. The vision of his face will stay with you, but there will be an instant which transcends all vision, even this, the holiest. This you will never teach, for you attained it not through learning. Yet the vision speaks of your remembrance of what you knew that instant and will surely know again. And that is what I've been trying to get to for 76 years. And this morning, when I was meditating on my own after this lesson, that is where I touched. And again, with your meditation, that is where I touched. There's no accidents. It is just perfect. I can't, this trust is showing me in different ways that I'm where we truly are.
Exactly.
Where
Yeah.
we truly are. So thank you for that. It was wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. This is something very interesting. When it's like a mind that is in bed, but forgets that it's in bed because it's distracted with a dream. The mind believes that she is the character in the dream. And in the dream, the mind tells itself, I am trying to get back to bed. You see? So right now you are the only distraction, the only obstacle that is not allowing myself to be where I am is the mind. That's why we cannot talk about this. That's why somebody once says, to know God, you must be out of your mind. So the meditation was pointing to where you are already at. All you need to do is observe how the mind wants to get in the way. And how the mind wants to get in the way. I want to get there. I am not there. I am this, I am that. I should, I shouldn't. That's just basically mind stuff. You see? And the more that becomes obvious, now you are always, and that's something that words cannot obviously point, but that's as far as I can go. I can try to describe what it tastes like, honey or sugar, right? But the only way you're going to have the experience, words can only serve for me to tell you, go 2 blocks, make a left, go to the sugar cane, get a knife and bite on it. That's as far I can do with words. So that's what I'm doing with the meditation. I was just saying that you just that's what the Course in Miracles tells us all the time. Surrender, let go, forget it, surrender, idiot. But the mind's trying to understand what's going to happen when I surrender. That's the problem. Because when you surrender, the mind is out of the way. You see? So you are already it. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Who would like to share?
I have a question. The Course talks about, or Jesus talks about our innocence. And Nick, you started the meditation asking us to erase or really stop looking back at the past and erase our memory. And it seemed to me that if you do that, you suddenly have the mind of perhaps a small child who knows nothing and looks at everything in wonder. Is that what is meant by innocence in the Course?
You could say that, yes. Now, one thing I would say is that I cannot ask you to erase the mind, because that already involves the mind trying to take an action. You see? But when you look at what appears or what seems to appear, and just simply is what it is, that's what it means by looking instead of judging. The fact that you take away the judgment from it, the equivalent or the consequence of that would be what appears to be as if an erase is happening. You see? So if you try to erase the mind, now you're engaged again as an I, as the mind itself trying to undo itself, you know? Yeah. So that's why the mind cannot undo itself. But by simply looking at what is not, that you rest in the state of innocence, which is what the child, what you are, what you've been all the time, that space. So, and that's it. So you can actually look now at your thoughts with innocence. The most hateful thoughts that can come through your mind, they're not hateful, they're just thoughts that when looked with innocence, meaning withdrawn of meaning, are just passing clouds, you see? And now you don't, that's why Jesus says, this is simple. It's very simple, but he says, just look at it with me. Why? Because you judge, I look, you see? And with Jesus, everything is innocence. There's nothing, there's no judgment. There's no right, wrong, correct, incorrect, should, or not. It's just what is. Life is just what is. And that's how we rest in a state of permanent innocence. And that's what I refer to as a permanent state of meditation, which is a permanent state of forgiveness. So there's nothing to forgive, And that's where the Course is leading us, to remember that there's nothing to forgive.
Right.
Because nothing ever happened.
Yeah, that's very good. I have another question because somebody once said to me, we're here to really understand what God is not, but then by deduction we can then discover what God is. When we're doing the Course and we're in fact sweeping all that aside, in fact, and looking for where you took us, which was this total state of beingness, of nowness. Are we doing that because we've more or less at this stage of our evolution perhaps more or less discovered what God is not, and that we're ready now to accept just simply what is? I think that's quite a deep question.
Exactly. What God is not something that the mind can even grasp. But what the mind can see is what is not. I am not a body. I am not my feelings. I'm not a sensation. I'm not anything. Everything that can be perceivable is what is not, because you are already it. Now, the challenge is that the mind begins to now use what is not and conceptualize it. Oh, that is not what I am. That's not what I am. No. It's just simply pointing. If you look at lesson number 2 of A Course in Miracles, helps you a little bit of looking at that. The reason why it's telling you nothing means anything is not so the mind can say nothing means anything. You see, it's kind of like trying to point you that when there's a withdrawn completely of meaning of anything, you are resting in what is, but it's not conceptual. It's not something that a human being can say, I have the experience. You see, because in reality, the presence of God is the absence of the individual. And the thing about it is that we're so afraid of quote unquote dying because we're relating to a body. But how could it possibly be that something that was never born can die? So the only thing that is going to die, quote unquote, is a belief. Because what's whole this experience is a belief. I believe I'm a body. I believe this is who I am. I believe that what I perceive is mine. So the death we're talking about is the belief, the death of a belief. But if you try to trot up with the mind, there's fear. Oh my God, my body's going to die. No, your body's not going to die because it's not even here. But that's something that we cannot even, that's what words point to. That's why every time we go to bed at night, the psychological sense of I disappears, Well, that's kind of like the Course is saying, you don't have to worry about it. When the time comes when that's supposed to happen, it'll happen. You won't even notice that it happened because it never did. But what the Course offers me says, while the mind thinks that is this individual here, the Course says, I can offer you peace, inner peace. And the mind goes, how do you do so? Oh, it's very simple. Recognize that you know nothing. And in that surrendering, that's the innocence in which you rest, which is the peace you've been seeking. But you will never find it in the things of the world. Because again, I cannot find truth in a dream, which is the obstacle to it. But I can observe the dream without being affected by it. That's what the Course is leading me to. And then when the time comes, when this body or this appearance no longer has to be here, that'll happen, that's very organic. I don't have to worry about it. But I can learn to live in peace while I'm having the human experience by withdrawing meaning to anything that I perceive. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very helpful.
Celia, would you like to share?
Yes. I was only, well, first of all, I was observing that Nick's microphone is bumping onto his zip, and we're getting a lot of, I'm getting a lot of feedback in my ears because of that. But just to say that thank you for Nick for the simplicity of what you're showing us, because it takes all the claptrap out of how to meditate. That's all I wanted to say, really. Thank you. It was a wonderful experience. I felt very very deeply able to be still and to just watch the mind doing its stuff, which it did.
Thank you, thank you. Is anybody has a Course in Miracles open there? Can you open it to chapter 15? Let me know when you're chapter 15, section 5. Is anybody there? Chapter 15, section 5.
The holy instant and special
Okay,
relationships.
go to paragraph number 6 and read the first 2 sentences out loud.
Should I read?
Yeah, whoever, yeah.
Any relationship, that one, Nick?
Okay, chapter 15, section 5, paragraph 6, sentences 1 and 2.
I've got it starting any relationship you would, is that right?
No.
Oh, okay, someone else then.
Chapter 15.
That's also what I have, Nick, so maybe you should read it.
No, I have it in Spanish, that's what happens.
Okay.
Chapter 15, which is the holy instant, go to section, I'm sorry, I apologize, section 4. What happened is, yeah, section 4.
Because of guilt.
Section 4. Okay, paragraph number 6.
Is it
chapter 15?
The reason this course is simple.
Okay, read it out loud, the first 2 sentences.
The reason this course is simple is that truth is simple. Complexity is of the ego and is nothing more than the ego's attempt to obscure the obvious.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
How the ego obscure the obvious, projecting meaning onto everything. A mind projecting a meaning onto a dream, it's overlooking the fact that it's just the mind itself. So the first meaning that the ego projects is I, me, person, I. And from then on, every single meaning goes after that. Good, bad, correct, incorrect, ugly, pretty, fat, thin. It doesn't matter. The government, it doesn't matter. The Holy Spirit says, look with me. And how do I do so? Oh, it's very simple. Let's go back to chapter 4. When your peace is chapter 14. When your peace is disturbed in any way, shape, or form, just remember this. I don't know the meaning of anything, including this. I do not know how to respond to it, and I will not allow the past to be the light to guide me now. That's another way of saying, I know nothing. And the Holy Spirit takes care of the healing. That's it. It's simple.
Who'd like to share? Sue, take yourself off mute.
Hi, yeah. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
I've had, those people we all have in our lives that trigger us and cause us no end of hassle. I've had a thing going on with somebody since Saturday, and it's a real mess. Lots of people are involved. I've been trying to do the forgiveness thing, and I always get into the argument between the side of my brain that wants to be loving and the side of my brain that wants to attack. And this person has been in my head so much since Saturday. And your meditation, it was wonderful, because I spent most of the time thinking about just having an image of this person, a thought of this person in my mind. And every time the voices started, oh, that was really bad, or you should understand, and blah, blah, I let that go and was able to just be and accept that I can just be. I can be peaceful with this situation. It doesn't mean in itself, it's neutral. And that was the main thing I picked out of the meditation this morning, and it's been so helpful. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Always look at how you're feeling, because that is what really dictates whether there's neutrality or not. And when the feeling comes up, all I have to remember is that I'm never upset for the reasons I think. Meaning that the feeling is nothing but of something that comes up, and the mind wants to immediately justify it with a thought. That's how it links both together. You know, yeah, what the person did is what the person did. What I'm feeling is what I'm feeling. Unlink these two, and Holy Spirit, I don't know the meaning of anything, you know, because sometimes, not all the time, but most of the times, when I hear somebody saying, I'm trying to forgive this, what they're really saying is that I don't want to feel this. But that feeling needs to be embraced, not pushed away. But the problem is that the mind links it with what the person did. No, the person have nothing to do with that. The person is the gift that was presented, so you can get in touch with that feeling. And then we just take, okay, thank you for, thank you, Holy, thank you, whatever, for the case, because you put me in touch with a feeling that I needed to get in touch with, because that feeling is the obstacle to truth. And then when you take that feeling and you remember it means nothing, because if I try to take that feeling and project a meaning onto it, meaning I feel this way because what that person has done, what I'm actually doing is projecting onto the person the thing in me that I don't want to see. You see that is in there. Meanwhile, the person is there because that's exactly what had to happen to put me in contact with that feeling. And that's how you realize, oh, now I see why that person is a gift. The person doesn't matter what he did. I needed to get in touch with this feeling because this is what I asked for. I asked to heal. And now you go back to that feeling, and we go back to the meditation. It means absolutely nothing. I don't try to push it away. I don't try to take it up. No. It's all welcome. It's a part of me. It's a part of me that needs to be healed, that has been asking for it all the time. And that's when I stay there. I just go in it. That's what lesson 70 of A Course in Miracles. You have to go through the clouds before to get to the light. Well, that's a cloud. But if I blame, I'm stuffing it in. No. I need to go through it. And the only way I can go through it is holding with the Holy Spirit's hand. I don't know what this means. I feel it. I feel it in my gut. I mean, all the way, I don't care if I die for it. I'm feeling it. And that's how you plow through the end. And once you get to the other end, and you realize that the feeling was an obstacle to love, then you go back to that same space of love. And then you see that whatever that person, quote unquote, did was exactly orchestrated so that I can get in touch with this and I can heal. And then you can look at that person in your mind, not a person in say, and say, thank you. So you see, everything is a gift. So the feeling is what is the obstacle. But we need triggers because we don't see them. That's why relationships give us a great opportunity to look at our feelings, you saw? But it takes courage because, I mean, it can get very intense. It can get very intense, And a lot of people want to forgive because they don't want to feel, And this is not about, that's what the Course in Miracles, Course in Miracles is very clear about this. Kenneth Wapnick used to say, if you're really doing the course and you haven't felt like throwing it against the wall at least 4 times, you're not doing it right. It's not that because it's like that. No, the course is not like that. The course is very loving, but it's exposing everything that is in there in order for it to be healed, So now you look at that person and say, great, I see that you're there because there's a trigger in here, you know, and I need to address this trigger. And because I don't know how to do so, but there's a love in you, call it the Holy Spirit, that knows how to do so. And that's when you invite Christ. Christ, this is the feeling that is in here, which is an obstacle between you, which is that person, and myself. I have put this obstacle in between. I need this removed. And that's when we go, this you get out of the mind. You know, you cannot go in the mind. The mind is what got you there, thinking that, oh, you feel like this because of, right? You know, no. The mind is out of the way. I'm feeling what I'm feeling. And God, I'm surrendered to it. And that's what we're doing. We just basically surrender to us in a way that we're allowing to let all the obstacles to come up, you know, and it's, that's why it's the narrow gate. But that's okay. It's that's what we're here to remember. That you're fine. Nothing is wrong. Nothing's going to happen to any one of us. The only thing is that now it's time to look, and that's what we're doing. Looking.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we've come to the end of our time together. Thank you, Nick. That was wonderful.
You're welcome.
Mute and express your appreciation to Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.